Okay. So let's talk about what we're looking at right now. So this is a game that I'm currently working on. It has a fair chunk of development completed on it. However, it needs more finalized art assets, and it's missing basically the majority of the levels that you're going to be playing in the game. So this stream is going to be dedicated to basically doing the level design for everything. So to show you what we had for the game for a while is that we had an environment like this. Okay, the assets are placeholders, tossed together sprites like the player one here, or reused from other things that we had lying around, such as the little enemy walking over there. This was basically just done not to look pretty, but more so to get the core functionality in there. So like we had the cityscape for parallax scrolling. That's just some stock photos that are modified a bit to give that effect. Then we got like player functionality and basically try and get the player object all functional with his state machines being able to do the dash and the movement and all that. And we wanted everything working okay in this debug environment. The debug environment is just kind of everything thrown at once in the same room, just more so to test functionality rather than actually design a proper and fun level. Now, designing a proper and fun level comes down to what we've been doing over here. So here, as you see, things are less jumbled and are designed with like actual rhyme and reason here. So this whole entire game follows a design formula that I established when I was working on Greedy Goblins. If you are familiar with CubePunk's projects, you would know that Greedy Goblins was the Halloween of 2023 Newgrounds contest entry we did, and we got voted second best game of October with our entry. Now, the whole entire shebang with Greedy Goblins was that it was a top-down kind of like a Zelda type game where you could place bombs, but the bombs could also destroy yourself. So think Zelda combined with Bomberman, but everything was like one screen puzzles, and your goal was to grab a key and to get to the exit. Everything for that game, like the majority of development was spent trying to get the functional sections of like the engine working, get all the gameplay nodes working, and then we designed the levels like within close to like the last week of development. Like like 5 levels were basically designed and mostly polished within a day actually, and there were 40 levels for that game. So doing games that way, I strongly feel like is the best way to go about it as an indie developer, because of the fact that you're able to, by compartmentalizing things into phases. So when you're working with a large team, you get an assembly line, you get a pipeline. Like with animation, you have somebody who does dedicated, like keyframes, then in between frames, then line art, then coloring, all that sort of stuff. The reason why you have people do dedicated steps is that if you have a single man focused on specific progress, then you just have them just doing the one focused task, and they can just make sure that they're doing their job correctly and then hand it on to the next person. And it gets things moving along easier and quicker. However, if you're working with a small team, instead of doing assembly line, just doing phases modeled after like what you would do as like a dedicated department is a stronger approach. So since I am doing a lot of stuff on this game, aside from like the actual gameplay sprites, which are being worked on at the same time while I'm trying to get the levels designed, and the game is coded in a way where once we get the final gameplay assets, they can be easily swapped in and out, and the levels don't really get screwed up at all because of that. So the whole entire thing with this is that if I was trying to design levels while also had like an incomplete gameplay functioning, it's not going to be as good. It's going to hurt my brain, okay? And it's not going to also meet the standards of quality that I could reach if I just focused on that one specific point at a time. So that's how I typically try to approach these things. I try to just focus on one specific point at a time. I need to just make sure that I am working correctly with this stuff. I think everything is working fine. Okay, cool. Now... So I find that what worked with Greedy Goblins was make it once you built all your gameplay functioning nodes, put them out on like a spreadsheet and then categorize like basically like each object and like the level of complexity and challenge that each object provides, and then basically figure out how to slowly introduce each object slash mechanic throughout the levels you're working with. Uh, by doing it that way, I felt like it was a good way to basically trickle in the player and ease them into the difficulty without having like a straightforward dedicated tutorial. Also, by doing it that way, you're able to capture a casual gamer audience by starting off with a very low level of difficulty and then ramping up and progressing from there. So Breakbeak actually does have like a crazy spreadsheet. Maybe I'll pull it up at some point. Maybe I'll just, keep it off stream and just look at it while I'm working here. But there is an actual dedicated spreadsheet designed so I know exactly like what objects I have to work with when I'm working on each level, because I don't want to put in like something that is such like a complex like game mechanic, put in like level one and then it's not seen for like, a million levels until the very end. There needs to be a progression to these sorts of things. So, let's see, world, let's do world one. So levels are built by basically having folders, and each room is their own dedicated sequence. So, okay, this is a decent example of showing like some of these gameplay principles in practice here. So here, this level right here, you notice that there's like a straightforward path and then there's a alternative path. So if I'm a cool player and I understand the game very well, I can stomp through these bricks and then do a coin dash to get a bunch of points, get a one up, and do that. That little secret it rewards people who've played this game before, and shows that there's a bit of a challenge. Don't always go straight forward, and also if you utilize some more of the more complex maneuvers that get introduced, not really late into the game, but it's not something you might use immediately. It will basically it will help you out. Now, if you played this section like just very straightforward with runs and jumps, you're able to jump over and run over that thing, and you're able to get to the end relatively quickly. It teaches you as much as you need to really know within like the first couple seconds of like say any given Mario game. However, if you are playing around with your little dash mechanic, instantly you're going to be able to do a coin dash, and then you're kind of going to learn, oh wait, that coin dash goes along the trails, and it also kills enemies. But also, if you run up here, you have a jump, and then you can coin dash in there. So if you combine your coin dashes, you can get through the level the quickest way. This way, just going like that, and then there you go, you got through the level. But again, if you're somebody who wants to explore secrets and such, you get rewarded by going down this way, and then you get all the way over here. So that there is a drop collision tile thing. Hopefully I can fix that, but that is very much a Godot engine sort of deal. Maybe if I made the collision tile a little bit smaller, and okay, well, we have a slight bug there too. So what's going on there? I guess the gameplay exit trigger is just oh yeah, okay, yeah, we just need to move the exit so it's not overlapping there entirely. Um, yeah, okay, we'll do it that way. Um, Actually, if we do it like this, then I'll have to think about how to do that. That there is a bug from like the overlapping things of like if you enter one area, then the camera has triggers to set up a different shot. But then if you basically enter the camera, the little camera zone area, it will trigger a different shot composition. So this is like the little exit trigger, and the exit trigger was triggered before the player basically got out of the section. So then the camera just kind of got stuck there. So let's see if this fixes it. So we have that, and then okay, well that's good enough for now. Okay, and then we get stuck when you enter the door there because the debug was on. So what are we going to be doing today? So So far for the game, like I would say that for the levels that you've seen, we have, let's see, World One, World Two. So World Two is halfway, like almost completed, but we need a World 2-2 made. Okay. We also have all the bosses, but I'm going to refrain from showing the boss fights off on the stream because that's not really what I'm focused on doing. And yeah, I gotta save some surprises for the actual full game. So this right here, we're going to be doing the boss design. So I have some template stuff out here. That's 2-1, wrong world. So I just dropped all the rooms that we're going to work with. A world is typically there's two types of levels in Breakbeat. There's mazes, and then there's just just standard levels. If it's a maze level, you're only going to get like 5 rooms because a room is going to take longer for you to complete. However, if it's a linear, just get from point A to point B sort of level, you're not going to be you're going to be using about 6 rooms so far. Room number is subject to change after all the levels are initially designed. I'd rather have like a dedicated day to focus on building each room and trying to make it solid, and then after some play testing, figure out if the levels need to be larger or if there's like a core component of that level that's not working out correctly. Bug testing though doesn't count as part of that phase. Like if I just notice a bug while playing, I'm fixing that immediately so I don't forget. All right, so let's see what we are looking at here. So level, so on my other screen, I had this flow chart, okay, that I'm looking at, and my flow chart says that this is mainly a, is it a, so, okay, you don't get another maze level until much later in the game. This level is more built around, climbing. Okay, so we're going to be doing a lot of wall jumping. We're doing a lot of cages, and we're going to be doing timer blocks. Okay, so timer blocks are going to probably pop up around room floor. So let's put a timer block just so we know it's a timer block. And let me double check how this node works. So editable children shows this is how it works. So off to on and on to off. Okay, so these are the tiles that basically shows that if the switch gets hit, off to on, and then the other way is on to off. This is how long the block lasts, and this is your switch object that basically you jump on, and it does the whole entire little trigger animation. Pretty straightforward. The idea with the levels is that you want to have like the first level to introduce the node. Basically, the first time the node gets introduced, still have it be like a little simple, and not be super complex. So we're going to be doing it this way. Like basically, first time introduce it simple, then make it spicy, and then just ramp up the spice level as it goes on. So with this, I think what would probably be the best way to handle this is to focus on a high road sort of mentality. So like if a player is going to be able to do the timer block, okay. And I'm not working with first room because it's just, I don't know. This is more straightforward to me on how to set up the section. So we're just showing it off and maybe talking through the logic a little bit. So we have off to on. So these blocks you want to be like that. Also the timer block thing, we should have probably just done it like this. And then if we do that now, everything is aligned. Good. All right. Then we need to move this little switch. So the idea with this is that we want to have it be that the timer block goes from off to on, and the collision be looking a little wonky though, but we'll ignore that. And yeah, so let's have it like about there. Okay. So logic is we're going to put this like this, and then if you do that, then you get to the door, and the door will basically be right about here. Maybe actually what we should do is that since this is like the level is built around climbing, we should just have like a whole entire section, like a shortcut section you can get to if you do it this way. But if you don't do it this way, then you don't get to the shortcut section. So, and we're going to drop a cannon because cannons are in this game very similar to something you'd see in most like like a specific monkey, a specific big monkey game. You have those barrels in this game, and that's cool because those barrel sections are always entertaining. And we'll do it this way. So now the player, if they didn't get through this timer section, they have to take the long way to get around, and I will put a bunch of hazards in said long way. But if it's but if you're able to get through the little switch section, you get rewarded by getting from point A to point B quicker. So we'll do that, and then we'll have climb. No, that's wrong. So this up here, this is climbable fence. There you go. Different you know what I'm doing is, like, since I made all the objects like dedicated saved sequences called, which are referred to as scenes in Godot, because some engines categorize your levels and then categorizes your objects. Godot builds the same building blocks for your levels are the building blocks you build for your if, basically your objects out of. So they don't get distinguished. They're just all called, it's considered scenes rather than, the distinguishing of object and scene. It is a bit weird for people who are not used to that system. However, it's a much better system because it creates a much more modular and Lego-like system compared to most other game engines. So, all right. And I think that, yeah, so we'll just do it like this. And I like just trying to keep blocks like that as much as possible. I try not to go like all this yet because like that's kind of more art rather than level design. That's just more like tiles that you ultimately have to just erase later. So even if it might look better to do a little bit of that, I don't do that for every room. And yeah, I'll ramble if I explain more than just that. So we have that, and then we have this fence section, and we'll put some hazards around the fence section and some enemies down here. Probably actually, since this is the level with these guys, enemy hammer. No, that's not. That's the object that they hammer. Okay, there you go. And this guy right here, it will be a pain in the ass you have to deal with if you basically fall during this section. So punishment, not getting across, but it's not the worst one ever. And then time blocks, let's see. Time block, time 5. Okay, and we'll do that. And it's funny. I was going to say, oh, we'll set up a couple things and then we'll move from here. But I have a really bad habit of saying I will do something and then do the opposite because I have a hard time just leaving something and moving on from there. That's just a inherent issue of mine while trying to work on stuff. So we'll do it this way. We'll have these danger zones sort of nodes that you have to avoid up here. So danger zones, like the way these are drawn, are actually a little bit more interesting than they might initially sound or look. So how this works is this. You have these objects, and I just drag them and put them into the levels. These things are smart enough to know actually how to draw the effect because like it has like this electrical current sort of effect that is done that illustrates, hey, if you touch this is bad. And the thing just will scale correctly and draw between the start and end points if I if I place the endpoints and the start points where I want them to. So they just they'll draw correctly, and if I want it to be a insta kill or not, then it's a it will be either red or yellow. And doing it that way, I feel creates a what should I call it? Uh, I'm slightly blanking. Give me a second to think. Doing it that way basically allowed me to just build it out instead of just doing like a standard like spike wall tile. It gave it the game kind of like a different identity for those sorts of hazard zones, as well as also just visually not being as violent and harsh because like, oh, you fell into bed of spikes, you're dead, yeah, kind of like being as weird as it is, cartoon logic of being electrocuted or being shocked is just kind of like a yow, he got hurt a little bit, not oh he got impaled, he's dead. um but yeah, so doing it this way shows kind of like part of like the forward thinking flexibility, because just designing this section here is significantly easier than if it was if I had to be having these objects that had to get tiled out. Godot 4, because this is built in Godot 3 for multiple reasons. Maybe I'll illustrate why at a later date. Godot Godot 3 um, just doesn't have a lot of what you might call it, a lot of things that would be helpful for a platformer thing. So like you have this tile editor map, and you're able to make more things within the tile editor, but for most part it's just world collisions in Godot 3 versus Godot 4, where I could probably have it set up to be actual gameplay objects laid out in there. It would be very helpful for collectibles like coins. There is a way to kind of cheese it within like with some properties, but it gets a little bit trickier and more geeky because it involves a lot of scripting rather than using the Godot editor tools. Okay, so we have it this way where actually, you know what? This might actually be the ending part to a level rather than starting part to a level. Came out significantly shorter than I thought, but it's fine. We can we have like this whole entire tunnel section that leads up to it to work with. Um, so we have a danger zone here, and climbable fence is no okay. Just we'll do climbable fence. We'll have you like that, and have you like that, and have you like that. And we'll do it like this. But as you're seeing right here, it might be a little bit more complicated than say Mario Maker. And like if I wanted to try to make it even more user friendly, it would require, ironically enough, probably a higher skill level of programming. But hopefully, it's illustrating the core idea hopefully want to communicate in this little stream here, is that um, oh, you if you build your editor tools correctly, it becomes like closer to drag and drop, and uh, you know, and level and map design becomes significantly easier to manage for a smaller team. I know people, be it like small like developers similar to on my level, who are trying to design both their levels before they got their core gameplay functionality done for their game. And it's just like I get doing the fun stuff is well the fun stuff, and it gets exciting, and like I will, like if back when I was working on like films and stuff, uh I had a process of sometimes I would work on the more fun shots to animate rather than the shots that I really just didn't want to draw but I needed to draw for the animation. Unfortunately, making a project can come across as like basically eating your vegetables a little bit. And, it's like there are some things that it's like ultimately it's rewarding at the end because you gotta make the cool thing, but you sometimes have to do something that you aren't so jazzed about to get to making the cool thing. So, time block. We'll do the switch back here a little bit more. And we will And we'll make the bridge a little bit longer too. Off to on. Do it this way. Tile maps. Do it this way. Oops. All right. And then oh, and then switch. Put it down there. Put a his. And then we'll let's see what let's see. We got then jump walls. These I programmed them in a way where you can only jump off the specific types of walls rather than every single wall. And maybe it's not everybody's preference in theory, but ultimately I found it was going to lead to a stronger game to do it that way, because it posed less level design challenges. So then node 2D coins. So the way I handle the coins is I just house them in like a sub node because it works. Because doing it that this way um, gets things. Sorry, I wish I was talking a little bit more eloquent here when I was doing this part, but uh, now we have. All right, and you're going to be able to make that jump without having to do the. I'm hoping that you it. So we're going to have to test to see if I got my heights correct here. So that's what we'll do at this section. That's the wrong button. I wanted to test the scene, not the whole game. F6, please. All right. So, nah, that's not realistically how somebody jumps. Okay, so they're going to jump like that. So, to communicate that this little section is too tall for the player, we are going to go even further with it and just go like this. Oops, that's too far. Okay, hold on a second. We'll fix that. Player, there you go. Okay, cool. Um, and by doing it this way, we'll be hopefully communicate to the player, hey, you know, jump on the dang wall. Maybe we'll even slip you up so you can get up there a little bit easier. Um, like that. Yeah, that's a good wedge. Okay, cool. Um, so then we'll, as you see, Godot, one reason why it's great is that I was able to edit all that stuff like that. Even Godot 3, smart enough to know that, hey, now you're working with level tiles, you can actually, draw and just have them update in real time or move around things. It, uh, it is a very helpful debugger tool in that regard. So yeah, listen, you're going to complain about the things, complain about things more than you say, oh, thank you thing. So keep that in mind. All right. Actually, I want it to be like that. And we'll put a flat there just so it's a little bit more like a, well, you know, okay, yeah, it'll help ease frustrations a little bit more if we just do it like this. Okay, and then you okay. we'll align the coins like this a little bit more. Now we're gonna have to restart the room because of how the coins work. And now we'll see this. So we'll jump like that. Then we dash and like, there you go. And it rewards you for doing the dash correctly. But if you mess up that dash and your coins aren't there, oh, hold on a second. We need to lower that tile down one or raise this guy up a little bit more. That actually will create things that's an easier solution for us. Um, and there you go. I wanted this game to have slope tiles, even though it wasn't. It would be a little bit harder to design because and you do run into like certain physics problems with that. But I felt that that was like one of the things that helped games like Kirby work uh, compared to ours. So okay, so you can get from. I was doing it a second ago. So if you do get a little bit of a run jump start, you can do it that way. However, that's still going to just frustrate people. So the thing is, it's like you got to think about like what's going to cause a frustration rather than what's doable at times. So we'll do it more like that, and we'll have the slope be like a gradual meme going like this, and then uh, we curve it off like that a bit more. As much curve as a wedge can be, but and then okay. And there you go. That's like a little good platforming challenge section before you get to this section. And then this section is going to be like a 5, 4, 3, 2. And then if you run, you get across, but then if you walk one. Okay, so I should make that actually uh timer block. I should make it start back sooner because 5 seconds is a good amount of time for a first time you encounter it sort of deal. But you need to be able to basically, I want you to learn from failure on that one. Like, you got to run if you're going to make the goal. So we'll do the time block like this. And we'll put a camera sequence thing here where we'll, and node 2D just to house everything. And then we'll do a thing called camera lock trigger. Okay. Edit, make children editable. Edit, able to be edited, not eaten. We don't want edible children. That's weird. Now what we do is this collision shape determines that anything like when the player is in this zone, have the camera, the camera locking, change and follow the player. But when not follow the player, but hold the shot basically and zoom out to it. You'll see it when we actually use it. So zoom X like this, ooh, and then we do that, ooh, and then we move down like this just for shot composition, and then you will see now that the way that this is all set up is so the little green rectangle that was on the outline, that is the camera angle, and then the green square that we were drawing, that's like when I'm in that zone, you'll see it. So this shows the player, hey, you gotta hustle, to basically get over there, or you fall through. So now we'll test it. So person doesn't listen. They walk. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, they actually could get across with walking. So screw it. I'm gonna do exactly what I said I wasn't gonna do. Make it 4 seconds. Okay. Ah, and then yeah, I hit the wrong key for it. I lit up the whole project, not the scene. Okay, so we have this like this, then five. So you run, you get across easy. Good. I can't press reset there because that's not how reset is programmed. Okay. Now we have this, and then player walks. 4, 3, 2, 1. They could get across if they're smart like that, or they're just going to fall through. So very fairly forgiving. And then this section is just a kind of like a weavy sort of section. So you have that, and you have this guy. Not a whole lot of fun. Let's also, just for safe measure, just to prevent this part from being a complete, me section. We'll just do it like this, and we will have a platformer section here. So we will have these guys, and then we will have another danger zone section. Where's the danger zones? I sometimes forget to name these things as I go along. So this climb, and then make the children able to be edited. So yeah. Now, what's good about also building it out this way is that since the node type I'm being used, I can move the whole entire level around. So say the background, like I want to modify the background and I want the shot to be like more up in the clouds than the ground. If I really wanted to raise it, I can just raise the whole thing like that. Or if it's like an underground thing, I could raise it like that, and then you see more underground sections. Depends on how the backgrounds are built in the end, but it gives you that flexibility that will be useful down the road. So we have these things right here. Now, no, we want tile map, and then we will grab you, and then this is like a 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we'll do a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4. So maybe offset it like that, offset it like that, offset it like that. Hmm. Actually, it should be a gap, a 4 gap there, and then this comes down to like the weird thing of like it sounds crazy, but having like a visual like harmony in your level design is actually it's an underrated thing. Funny enough, I feel like if there is a like a whole lot of like a good distribution, or like it just things start looking messy. That's how you get things where people complain about, like, say, Sonic Frontiers with its floating sky rails. It sure was functional, but it wasn't exactly the most visually pleasing. Um, it sounds really weird to say that about level design, but uh, it's very much a thing that does exist. So I do it this way and this way, and then now we do it this, and then we grab that endpoint, and then we fix it like that. There you go. So because of the fact that there's an even balance and consistency there, you got like the platform gap thing there, but it's also like, since they're uniform size, it feels like an intentional thing rather than like haphazard messiness. And haphazard messiness is, not so great. So you do that, you have this section where you jump through it, and then you have to deal with this guy, who's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. Yeah. Um, and by doing it this way, you just get electrocuted, but you get thrown up onto the gaps easy. So there you go. That's sorry, I sniffled directly into the mic but you have it this way, and then you have the climbing section. And so, yeah, it's entirely beatable if you don't, do the section correctly. However, it does, you get punished heavily by going through something that's um, maybe maybe not fun is not the words I want to be using given I'm supposed to be making a video game here, but basically something that is like it puts you through the ringer a little bit. That's maybe a more you know a little bit of like a nicer way of wording it. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other camera section triggers that need to be put in place. Uh, Maybe like a zoom change or something like that. Um, let's add one for good measure. Zoom, edit children. Oh yeah, it's just collision shapes. Doi. Uh, Collision shape. And we will do this as a far. So how this guy is going to work is that we have this shape here, and we'll put it like around here. And so it won't you won't actually see the zoom change on you while you're like say in the section, but um you have to go through that. So your zoom is going to get altered. So we'll have a far, and then we'll have a uh mid, right? Is that the distance? Yeah, it's mid. Okay, and then this one will be here. So these are done in a way where the zoom will actually change if you interact with these things while you run across them while on the level. But also, if you put it through these locks things, like the zoom distance change is happening, but it happened while you're in there, so it does that, and it's a little bit more of a gradual zoom change. So, I think you understand what I was saying with the visuals there when playing when I just ran through it. So. I think that's good for now. Of course, always subject to change later, but as far as like doing a doing the levels, like this, might. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I need to change on here or not. No, that's pretty good for. So that was room 4 in the world 2-2. Now we gotta do room 1, 2, 3, and then 5, 6. 5 and 6 are going to play around with the timer more, while 1, 2, and 3 are going to play around with the climbing more. 4 is kind of the intermediate point of advanced climbing combined with no introduction of power blocks. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say before I hop off. No, it's basically just that cycle, really, just rinse and repeat till the end of time, and it doesn't really change a whole lot. Okay. Well, I'm gonna hop off now. It's easier for me to work when I'm not